Hey, hello, and welcome back or welcome. And in this tutorial, we're going to see how to pause player movement during dialogue in Dialogic 2. All right. And if you don't have Dialogic 2, all right, you can go to Dialogic's GitHub page and download it from there. Just Google Dialogic2 in the words GitHub, GITHUB, and I'm sure it'll come right up for you. Then you go to their GitHub repository and go to code and download the zip file inside of that. All right. And then once you have the zip file downloaded, you can go to Asset Library, Import, find your Dialogic main zip file. You don't need to unzip it. All right. And you can double click that. And then once you do, you want to ignore asset root. Okay. But since I already have it installed, I'm not going to do that. But that's how you would get it and bring it in. And once you do, then you'll get this Dialogic tab up here, just like the rest of your editor tabs. And it will be added to your add-ons folder. Or create an add-ons folder if you don't already have one and add it to that. So that's how you get Dialogic. All right. But yeah, it's a 2D scene. I've got a main node here, a node I called main, and it's just a node 2D. That is like the root node for this scene. And then I added a player character body 2D node, which I call player there. And as child of the player, I added a sprite 2D, which is the game logo you see here, which is in all projects you start, I assume, because it was in mine. And I just dragged that icon into the slot for the sprite 2D, where it says texture. I just dragged it over there. And then also a collision shape 2D, which I set to be a rectangle shape 2D. And that is the player character body 2D node. Now, each of these nodes has a script on it. The players extends character body 2D, and it's just a quick function, physics process delta, and move and slide. And then the main has this code on it. But before we get into it, let's try the project out and see what's going on here. All right, so there's our logo. And MindSlide GameWorks Dev says, welcome to my tutorial. Be sure to like and subscribe. Oh, MindSlide, that's shameless. What are you doing? All right. Then why don't you try and move the Godot logo around while this dialogue is happening using the W, A, S, and D keys. All right, I'll try it. So I'm pressing W, A, S, and D now, and that logo isn't going anywhere. Can you? No, I can't. That's because this dialogue is still ongoing. Once you click this dialog box away, we will end the dialogue and then try again. Okay, so I clicked it and it ended. And now if I press WA, oh, look at that. Now I can move it around with the keys. All right. So that's all happening basically in the code attached to the root node, the main node here, I called main. And that is extends node 2D. We've got an onReady variable player that's set equal to the name player here. So it grabs that node by the name player. Then we got the move speed, a variable move speed, and then we've got a variable can move, which is a Boolean, and it's set to false. And then in the ready function, all right, we set dialogic.start and then the name of the timeline. Now in Dialogic, You've got all these tabs up here. One is timeline. So if you select timeline tab, then you can have all these options of things you can drag into your timeline, which is the current dialogue session. All right. And right here, text, I dragged in a text and I wrote the welcome to my tutorial. Be sure to like and subscribe, which is horrible, shameless of you, Mindslide. And then after that, I brought in another text. Why don't you try and move the Godot logo? And another text saying can't can you, and then the rest. After that, I dragged in a return, which tells the code that this dialog has ended. Under characters, I went over here, created a new character, and named it Mindslide GameWorks Dev. Now you could add portraits and stuff like that, but we don't need that right now. So under characters, all right, you could either have no one or this unite test character, which is kind of default, I guess, and then or the character you just created and saved. So I picked the character I just created, Mindslide GameWorks Dev, for the kind of narrator. And yeah, then the return. But yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, you should, if you're interested in Dialogic, you want to play with it, just create a simple test project, that you can play with. That doesn't matter, and there's all kinds of like the choice-based functions and conditions and audio and all kinds of cool stuff. So yeah, uh, so that's the code that's inside the main node right here, the root node, and let's see. So yeah, we were at can move faults, right? And the function ready, dialogic.start. So we're starting this timeline, which I called intro. And then down here, we manually trigger that start signal. So on dialog started, intro, and on dialog started is just a function I created down here. All right. So function on dialog started with these parameters, timeline name string. All right. And then you got a print, just a verification that that function and signal was set properly. And then we set can move to false, even though it's false up here to default, we set it to here just to be sure. And then we've got a function on dialog ended timeline name string. And then we print timeline ended and we set can move to true. So in the function ready, we start dialogic and with the name of the timeline intro. And then on dialog started intro, we manually trigger the start signal. And then we await dialogic.timeline ended. So we're waiting for the dialogic timeline to end. And once it does, we say on dialog ended intro. So that sends the end signal. And on the, like I said, on the ended, we just set can move that Boolean to true. So this await dialogic timeline ended simply waits for all that timeline stuff here to end, return says it ended, and then in the code, once it's ended, we do the on dialog ended function I wrote here. Right, and set this bool to false. Right, yeah, true right here at the end. So then we've got a function physics process delta, and it's got an if statement saying if not can move, player.velocity equals vector2 0, return. So we're halting the player movement right here when that Boolean is false. Can move is false. We're halting all movement and then saying return so that none of this executes. All right. And when it's true, then this if statement will not stop this, and we go to variable direction equals vector2 0. If input action is action pressed, up, direction y minus equals 1, and we do that for all the up, down, left, and right. All right. And then we say player.velocity equals direction normalized times move speed. All right. And move speed is the variable we created here. So if you don't know what I'm doing here with up, down, left, right, that you go into the project settings, input map, and here I just created 4 new input maps. Up, down, left, and right is what I named them. If you don't know how to do that, you just go in here and we'll say new up to create one of these input map keys. And then you click add. And then down here, you could click the plus button next to it and simply put in the key you want, like Q. All right, and then say OK. And now Q is mapped to the string new up. But we don't need that, so we're going to get rid of it. I'm just showing you how to put those in if you don't know. And yeah, that's it. So, if you want, I'll give you a second to copy this down. Really short, it's not long. Just pause it and do your thing. And then this code, again, it's just that to get the player moving. And yeah, that's it. So I hoped you enjoyed it and got something out of it. And again, that's so shameless. Like and subscribe. Be sure to like and subscribe, like Mindside GameWorks Dev says here. All right. And this tutorial was requested by a subscriber. Um, so I hope this helped you there, Floor Cloud. And yeah, hope everybody enjoyed it and got something out of it. And until next time, peace out.